I'm your wife. Can I suck it?" The shy rancher trembled, but when the bride did, he forgot every. The sun had barely risen over the vast expanse of the ranch, painting the sky in soft shades of pink and gold. Breaking dew sparkled on the grass like tiny diamonds, and the quiet hum of the morning filled the air. In the middle of this peaceful scene stood Thomas, a young rancher known for his hard-working nature and quiet demeanor. He moved slowly, carefully checking the fences and feeding the animals, his hands rough and calloused from years of labor. Thomas was not a man of many words. He preferred the company of his horses and the rhythm of the land to the chaos of towns or social gatherings. Life on the ranch was simple, predictable, and safe. Though Thomas appeared confident in his work, inside he was shy and unsure of himself. He had always been more comfortable with the simplicity of daily routines than the complexity of human emotions. Making friends had never come easily to him, and the thought of speaking to a woman he liked made his heart race and his hands sweat. Despite this, he longed for companionship, a partner who could understand the quiet world he lived in, someone who would see him not just as a rancher, but as a man with a heart full of care and dreams. That someone came in the form of Emily, a spirited woman with a presence that could light up a room. Unlike Thomas, she was bold, confident, and full of laughter. Her life had been different from his. She grew up in a bustling town, surrounded by people, learning to speak her mind and express her feelings freely. But when she met Thomas during a visit to the ranch, something about the quiet strength in his eyes drew her in. But she admired his dedication to the land, the tenderness with which he treated the animals, and the calmness that seemed to radiate from him. Their courtship had been short but intense. Emily had a way of drawing Thomas out of his shell without him even realizing it. She would sit with him on the porch, talking about everything from the color of the sunset to the dreams she held for the future. Thomas, though nervous, found himself sharing pieces of himself he had never told anyone. Slowly, trust grew between them, and a bond formed, a connection that was gentle yet powerful, like the steady current of a river running through a quiet valley. The day of their wedding arrived with all the warmth of an early summer morning. The ranch was alive with preparation. Friends and family moved about, arranging flowers, preparing food, and hanging decorations. Thomas had never been the center of attention before, and he felt a strange mix of excitement and anxiety. He stood in his simple suit, adjusting his tie for the 10th time, his mind racing with thoughts of Emily and the life they were about to begin together. Emily appeared in her wedding dress, radiant and smiling. Her eyes sparkled as she walked toward him, and Thomas felt a lump form in his throat. She reached out for his hand, and for a moment the world around them seemed to disappear. It was just the two of them, connected by a silent understanding and a shared heartbeat. Thomas had never felt so vulnerable and alive at the same time. As the ceremony progressed, Thomas struggled to keep his nerves in check. He had always imagined weddings as grand, public affairs, filled with speeches and applause. But now, standing before Emily, listening to vows he had practiced countless times in his mind, he realized that words felt inadequate. His heart was full, yet he feared that no sentence could capture the depth of what he felt. He focused on Emily's smile, the gentle squeeze of her hand, and the warmth of her gaze, letting those feelings anchor him. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Thomas felt a rush of emotion that left him momentarily speechless. He looked at Emily, her eyes shining with joy and love, and he realized that this moment was not about ceremony or tradition. It was about the bond they had created and the trust they had in each other. They shared a gentle kiss, one that spoke more than any words could, and the world seemed to pause for them. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky turned a deep shade of purple, Thomas and Emily returned to the quiet of the ranch. The celebrations were over, and the ranch was calm once more. The couple sat together on the porch, holding hands and listening to the soft sounds of the night. Crickets chirping, the occasional hoot of an owl, and the distant lowing of cattle settling down for the night. But, despite the calm, Thomas felt a wave of nervousness. The idea of spending an intimate night with Emily both thrilled and terrified him. He had never been close to anyone in this way, and the thought of disappointing her made his palms sweat. Emily, sensing his tension, smiled softly and leaned closer. "It's okay," she whispered. "We'll take it slow. We're in this together." Her words were gentle but filled with a quiet confidence that reassured him. As they moved inside, Thomas felt his heart racing. Every step felt heavy with anticipation, and yet he trusted Emily completely. She had a way of making him feel safe, even in moments when he felt most exposed. She guided him with a light touch and soft words, encouraging him to relax and focus on the connection they shared. For the first time, Thomas realized that intimacy was not about perfection or experience. It was about trust, care, and the willingness to be vulnerable with someone who loved him unconditionally. Emily's approach was playful, yet tender. She teased him gently, breaking the tension with laughter and lightheartedness. Thomas, though initially frozen by nervousness, began to respond, letting go of his fears as he felt the warmth of her affection. His shyness gradually gave way to a sense of presence, a feeling of being fully alive in the moment with the person he loved most. The night unfolded slowly, each moment a step in their journey together. Basta. Thomas learned that love was not just about grand gestures, but about small acts of connection. The way Emily's fingers brushed against his, the warmth of her gaze, the shared laughter that eased his anxieties. In turn, Emily discovered the depth of Thomas's heart, his capacity for care and devotion that went beyond words or outward appearances. By the end of the night, Thomas felt a transformation within himself. He was still shy, still cautious, but he had experienced something profound, a bond that transcended fear and hesitation. He realized that his love for Emily was not limited by his inexperience. It was strengthened by their mutual trust and willingness to explore their emotions together. As they finally lay together, the ranch bathed in moonlight outside, Thomas felt a sense of peace he had never known. The nervousness that had gripped him earlier had faded, replaced by a quiet confidence in the love they shared. Emily rested her head on his chest, her hand entwined with his, and he listened to the steady rhythm of her heartbeat. In that moment, he understood that this was only the beginning of their journey, a journey that would challenge them, teach them, and ultimately bind them together in ways neither of them had imagined. Outside, the ranch stood silent and serene, a testament to the life they were building together. Inside, Thomas and Emily embraced the beginning of their married life, finding joy in vulnerability and strength in connection. The shy rancher who had once feared intimacy now felt a courage born from love, a courage that would guide him in the days, months, and years to come. And so the first chapter of their life together closed, not with grand drama or sudden revelations, but with quiet trust, tender laughter, and the promise of a future built on understanding, patience, and unwavering love. The morning after their wedding was calm and golden, sunlight streaming through the windows of the ranch house. Thomas awoke before Emily, as he usually did, to the soft sounds of the ranch coming alive. Hens clucking, horses shifting in the stables, and the distant lowing of the cattle. He lay for a moment, watching the sunlight move across the room, and thought of Emily, peacefully sleeping beside him. A soft smile appeared on his face. Her presence had changed everything. But even with the joy in his heart, Thomas felt the familiar flutter of nervousness return. Last night had been beautiful, but it had also shown him how much he had yet to learn. Not just about intimacy, but about expressing himself fully, letting go of his fears, and trusting that someone could love him completely. He quietly got up, careful not to wake her, and went about the morning chores. Emily stirred as she heard the soft shuffle of Thomas's boots. "Good morning," she whispered, sitting up and brushing her hair back from her face. Her eyes sparkled with warmth and a hint of mischief. "Didn't mean to wake you too early, did I?" Thomas shook his head, feeling the nerves creep back. "No. It's okay," he muttered softly. His words were simple, as usual, but his eyes told her everything. Hesitation, uncertainty, and the deep care he felt for her. Emily smiled and climbed out of bed.
"I thought I'd help with breakfast today," she said.
Her playful tone eased some of Thomas's tension. There was something about her confidence that made him feel both nervous and protected at the same time. As they worked together in the kitchen preparing eggs, coffee, and fresh bread, Thomas felt a strange mix of comfort and anxiety. It was moments like this, simple and ordinary, that reminded him of the bond they were forming. Yet he couldn't shake the lingering self-doubt. I hope I'm not making mistakes," he said quietly, almost to himself. Emily stopped and turned to him, placing a gentle hand on his arm. "Thomas, there are no mistakes here. We're learning together. That's all that matters." Her voice was soft, reassuring, and full of understanding. She had a way of seeing through his insecurities and meeting him there without judgment. After breakfast, the couple headed out to the ranch to check on the animals. The land stretched endlessly before them, rolling hills dotted with cattle, grazing horses, and fields ready for planting. Emily moved beside Thomas, keeping pace with his long strides. "Bread." She laughed lightly as a playful breeze swept through her hair, and Thomas felt his nervousness slowly melting away.
"You know," she said teasingly, "I never thought ranch life could be so—"
Lively. I mean, all this space, these animals, it's like a world of its own."
Thomas smiled a little awkwardly. "It is."
"It's quiet, but it has its own rhythm. You get used to it." He glanced at her, noting the way her eyes took in every detail, the way she admired the horses, the careful attention she gave to the chickens, even the gentle pat she gave the cows. Emily had a way of seeing beauty in everything, and it made Thomas feel proud of his home, proud to share it with her. As the day went on, Thomas began to relax. The Emily's laughter and easy confidence acted like a balm, soothing the nervousness that had gripped him. She was patient, playful, and encouraging, gently guiding him when he faltered and celebrating the small victories. For example, when he helped her lift a heavy feed bag and she jokingly complained about his strength, his confidence grew, and they both laughed breaths. Later, as they sat on the porch sipping lemonade, Emily's playful side began to emerge again. She leaned closer, her eyes gleaming with a mixture of affection and teasing curiosity. "You know," she said softly, "we don't have to rush anything. But I think it's okay to explore just a little." Thomas felt a rush of surprise and a wave of nervous energy. His heart beat faster, his hands trembled slightly, and he struggled to find words. He had never been in a situation like this, never had someone so bold and confident look at him with trust and expectation. But a moment, he froze, unsure of how to respond.
Emily noticed immediately.
Breath. She didn't push him harshly, but she didn't retreat either. Instead, she smiled reassuringly. Breath. "Thomas, it's okay. I'm with you." Breaths. "You don't have to be perfect. Just be with me."
Her words were simple, yet they carried a weight that settled over him, easing some of the tension. Slowly, Thomas began to realize something important. Intimacy wasn't about knowing everything or being flawless.
It was about connection, trust, and the willingness to be present with someone who cared deeply for you. Emily's patience and confidence were guiding him gently, helping him discover a side of himself he had never explored. Throughout the afternoon, Emily continued to encourage small steps of closeness, holding hands, leaning into each other during quiet moments, sharing laughter at minor mishaps, like spilled feed or a mischievous calf. Thomas felt himself growing more comfortable, his shyness gradually giving way to curiosity and engagement. He was learning to let go of the fear of inadequacy and simply enjoy being with someone who loved him without reservation. That evening, as the sun dipped low and the sky turned shades of orange and pink, Thomas and Emily returned to the house. The ranch seemed to glow in the soft light, casting long shadows and highlighting the beauty of the land they now shared. Inside, Emily prepared a small dinner while Thomas washed up. The quiet domesticity of the moment was a stark contrast to the nervousness he had felt just a day before. As they ate, Emily spoke gently about the future, about dreams of expanding the ranch, raising a family, and sharing their lives in ways that honored both their personalities. Thomas listened, feeling a mixture of awe and gratitude. He realized how rare it was to find someone who understood not just his quiet nature, but also his hopes and fears. Emily's presence was transforming him, giving him courage to imagine a life full of love and shared experiences. After dinner, Emily moved closer once again, her presence both comforting and daring. She rested her head on his shoulder, her hand brushing lightly against his.
"You're doing great," she whispered.
Just let go a little. Trust me. Thomas's heart pounded, but this time it was accompanied by a growing sense of confidence. He let himself lean into her, responding to her gestures with care and attention. He realized that his shyness wasn't a barrier. It was just a part of him.
And Emily wasn't trying to erase it. She was helping him embrace it while discovering new ways to express love and affection.
The night unfolded slowly, with moments of playful teasing, gentle closeness, and shared laughter. Thomas discovered that he could be vulnerable without fear, that intimacy was about mutual respect, understanding, and presence. Emily's boldness and confidence complemented his quiet nature perfectly, creating a balance that made both of them feel safe and cherished. By the end of the night, Thomas felt a profound shift within himself. The nervousness that had plagued him for years had softened, replaced by a quiet courage and a willingness to explore new dimensions of connection. Emily had not only guided him through his fears, but had also shown him the joy of trusting someone completely. As they finally rested together, Thomas reflected on the day and all he had learned. Love, he realized, was not about rushing or forcing perfection. Breaths. It was about patience, trust, and the willingness to grow together. Emily's boldness had taught him courage, her laughter had taught him joy, and her affection had taught him the value of vulnerability. Outside, the ranch lay bathed in moonlight, quiet and serene. Inside, Thomas and Emily shared a moment of closeness that spoke volumes without words. It was the beginning of a journey that would challenge them, teach them, and ultimately bind them together in ways neither had imagined. And in that stillness, Thomas understood something profound. Love was not something to be feared or rushed. It was something to be nurtured, explored, and cherished every day in every gesture, every glance, and every shared moment. And with Emily by his side, he was ready to embrace it fully. The morning light filtered gently through the curtains of the ranch house, and Thomas awoke to the familiar sounds of the animals moving about outside. There was a soft warmth in the air, a quiet hum of life that made him feel at peace. Beside him, Emily was still asleep, her breathing calm and even, and for a moment he simply watched her. He felt a quiet swell of gratitude and love. Over the past few days, he had begun to understand what it meant to share his life so closely with someone. Emily's boldness and confidence had helped him find courage he did not know he had, and her patience had allowed him to grow at his own pace. But even with this growth, Thomas knew there was more to learn. More about himself, about her, and about the depth of their bond. Breaths. He rose quietly, not wanting to disturb her, and went outside to check the ranch. The morning was crisp, and the dew still clung to the grass like tiny jewels. As he moved through the fields, feeding the horses and checking the fences, he felt a new sense of awareness. His mind was more present now, noticing the small details. The way a foal nuzzled its mother, the soft rustle of leaves in the breeze, the distant calls of the birds waking to the day. Life had always been beautiful here, but now it seemed richer, more vivid, because he was beginning to share it with someone he loved. Emily joined him shortly, carrying a small basket of food for the animals. She moved easily across the fields, her laughter brightening the morning air. "I thought I'd help with the feeding," she said, her eyes sparkling. "It looks like you could use an extra pair of hands." Thomas smiled, a little awkwardly, as always, but there was warmth in his expression. I could," he admitted softly. He was still shy, but her presence made him feel capable in a way he hadn't felt before. Together, they worked among the animals, exchanging gentle teasing, quiet conversation, and laughter that filled the ranch with life. After the chores, they sat together on the porch, enjoying the sunlight and the quiet beauty of the land. Emily leaned closer, resting her head lightly on his shoulder. "You're changing," she said softly. "I can see it in you." Thomas's heart skipped a beat. "Changing?" he asked, unsure if he wanted to hear the answer. "Breast." "Yes," she replied. "You're opening up." "You're not afraid to be yourself with me. That's beautiful." How it's touched him deeply. He had always feared that his quiet nature would make him unworthy of love. But Emily's faith in him was beginning to change that. Throughout the day, they continued to explore their new life together. Emily suggested small adventures, a walk through the fields, visiting a nearby stream, even trying to teach Thomas a few playful games she enjoyed as a child. Each activity, though simple, became a lesson in trust and connection. Thomas began to notice how much joy there could be in small moments, how laughter could ease tension, and how shared effort could create a deep sense of partnership. In the afternoon, they returned to the ranch house to rest. Emily noticed that Thomas was still a little hesitant, a little shy in his expressions of affection. She knew he was learning, growing, and that patience would be key. Sitting close together on the porch swing, she reached for his hand.
"You don't have to rush anything," she said gently.
"But I want you to know, it's okay to show me who you really are. I want all of you." His chest tightened, and his hands trembled slightly as he held hers. He realized that this was more than just affection. It was trust. Emily was asking him to open himself completely, to let go of fear and embrace vulnerability. For a moment, he doubted himself, wondering if he could truly rise to the occasion. But as he looked into her eyes, full of warmth and encouragement, he felt a surge of courage.
He began to speak, quietly at first, sharing thoughts and feelings he had never voiced.
He told her about the fears that had held him back, the loneliness he had felt in his quiet life, and the longing he had always carried for someone who could understand him.
Emily listened intently, nodding and smiling, never interrupting, never judging.
Breaths was a calm assurance, a safe harbor where he could be himself. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Thomas felt a new confidence building inside him.
Emily's encouragement and playful teasing had taught him that love was not about being perfect or experienced. It was about being present, honest, and willing to share oneself fully.
He realized that the nervousness he had carried for so long was slowly transforming into trust, curiosity, and even excitement. That evening they shared a quiet dinner, the soft glow of lanterns casting warm light across the room. Emily's playful humor continued to guide him gently, breaking any lingering tension and helping him feel comfortable in his own skin. She laughed at small mishaps, spilled water, a dropped utensil, a crooked napkin, and Thomas found himself joining in, the sound of his own laughter surprising and delightful to him. After dinner, Emily moved closer once again, her presence both comforting and daring. Thus, respecting her hand lightly on his arm, leaning into him with a soft smile.
You know, she whispered, you're learning so quickly.
I'm proud of you. Thomas felt a mixture of nervousness and exhilaration. His heart raced, but this time it was accompanied by a growing sense of confidence. He realized that intimacy was not a single moment, but a series of shared experiences. Small gestures, trust, laughter, and mutual support. Emily's boldness and guidance had helped him discover this truth, and he felt a quiet determination to continue learning, growing, and connecting with her. The night unfolded with gentle closeness and shared laughter. But Thomas discovered that he could be vulnerable without fear, that affection and playfulness could coexist, and that love was a journey rather than a destination. Each touch, each glance, each word shared between them strengthened the bond that had begun to form in the quiet days after their wedding. By the end of the night, Thomas felt a profound change within himself. The nervousness and shyness that had once defined him were still present, but they had softened, replaced by trust, courage, and a willingness to explore new dimensions of connection. Emily had guided him through this transformation with patience, understanding, and unwavering love. As they lay together, the ranch bathed in moonlight outside, Thomas reflected on the lessons he had learned. Perfection or rushing. It was about patience, trust, and the willingness to grow together.
Emily's boldness and confidence had helped him find courage. Her laughter had taught him joy, and her affection had taught him the value of vulnerability.
Outside, the ranch was quiet, serene, and alive with the gentle sounds of night. Inside, Thomas and Emily shared a moment of closeness that spoke volumes without words. It was a continuation of the journey they had begun, a journey of trust, understanding, and deepening love. Thomas felt a sense of peace he had never known before, a certainty that this partnership, this connection, was something rare and precious. But as the first part of their shared life began to settle into rhythm, Thomas understood something profound. Love was not to be feared, controlled, or rushed. It was to be nurtured, explored, and cherished every day, in every gesture, every smile. With Emily by his side, he was ready to embrace it fully, knowing that together they could face whatever life would bring. The ranch, the animals, and the quiet expanse of land all seemed to reflect the growth within him. The shy, nervous rancher was beginning to transform, not because he had suddenly become confident in every way, but because he had discovered the courage to be himself, to trust another, and to allow love to guide him forward. In the soft glow of moonlight, Thomas and Emily lay side by side, hands entwined, hearts aligned. The challenges of the future seemed less daunting, for they had discovered the most important truth. Together, they could face anything. And so, the night ended not with grand declarations or dramatic events, but with quiet understanding, tender affection, and the gentle promise of a life built on love, trust, and shared discovery. The next morning, the ranch was alive with the familiar sounds of the countryside, the soft clatter of horses in the stables, the lowing of cattle, and the gentle rustling of leaves in the morning breeze. Bust. Thomas woke early as usual, but this time, there was no nervous flutter in his chest. Instead, there was a calm excitement, a quiet confidence that had grown steadily over the past days. Beside him, Emily stirred, her hair falling softly across her face as she smiled in her sleep. Thomas felt a warmth spread through him. The shy, hesitant man he had been was beginning to feel at ease in his own skin, and it was all because of her. He quietly got out of bed and stepped outside. Brace. The sun was just beginning to rise, painting the sky with hues of pink and gold. He breathed deeply, feeling the crisp morning air fill his lungs. The ranch had always been his world, but now it felt fuller, more alive, because it was shared with Emily. He knew that the bond they had formed was strong, built on trust, patience, and a willingness to grow together. Emily joined him shortly, carrying a basket of breakfast. Her smile was bright, full of warmth and encouragement. "Morning," she said softly. "I thought we could have breakfast out here today, enjoy the sunrise." Thomas nodded, feeling a quiet happiness. "But that sounds perfect," he replied. The words came easily, without hesitation, and he realized that he no longer feared speaking to her, no longer doubted himself. He had grown, and her presence had given him the courage to embrace that growth. As they sat together on the porch, sharing simple food and sipping coffee, they talked about the days ahead. Emily's playfulness and gentle teasing continued, but now Thomas could respond with equal ease. He made her laugh with a small joke, and she smiled, shaking her head.
"You get bolder every day," she said. "I love it."
He realized that their relationship had transformed him in ways he hadn't expected. The nervousness that had once defined him was gone, replaced by a calm confidence, a willingness to explore and embrace new experiences, and a deep understanding of the power of love and trust. After breakfast, they set out to work on the ranch together. There were fences to repair, animals to feed, and fields to tend. Emily moved beside him, her energy infectious, and Thomas found himself enjoying the work more than ever. They laughed together as a horse nipped playfully at Emily's hat, and Thomas helped her steady the feed bucket with ease. Every task, even the simplest, became an opportunity for connection and shared joy.
Later, Emily suggested they take a walk to a nearby stream, a place she had discovered during one of her first visits to the ranch.
The path was winding, shaded by tall trees, with sunlight filtering through the leaves. As they walked, Emily talked about her childhood, her dreams, and the things that made her happiest. Thomas listened intently, feeling closer to her with every word. He shared stories of his own, small glimpses into the quiet life he had lived before meeting her. For the first time, he realized how much he had longed for this connection, this deep, unguarded understanding with someone who truly cared. By the time they reached the stream, the sun was high in the sky. The water sparkled in the light, and the gentle sound of flowing water created a peaceful atmosphere. Emily dipped her hand into the stream, splashing lightly, and Thomas laughed, feeling completely at ease. She turned to him, her eyes shining. "See? Life can be fun and peaceful at the same time," she said. "It's all about how you choose to see it." Thomas nodded, feeling the truth of her words. He had spent so much of his life hiding behind shyness and fear, avoiding risks and vulnerability. But now, with Emily by his side, he had learned that embracing life fully, trusting someone completely, and allowing himself to be seen were the most rewarding experiences of all. As the afternoon passed, they returned to the ranch and continued their work. Thomas found himself taking initiative, offering suggestions, and even joking with Emily in ways he had never imagined. Her encouragement had helped him see that he was capable of more than he had believed, and he felt a quiet confidence in his abilities, both as a rancher and as a partner. As evening approached, they prepared dinner together. The warm glow of lanterns filled the kitchen, casting soft shadows across the walls. Emily moved gracefully, humming a tune, while Thomas chopped vegetables and stirred pots with ease. They worked side by side, sharing small gestures of affection, a touch on the arm, a shared smile, a light-hearted comment that made them both laugh. It was in these moments, Thomas realized, that love truly flourished, in the quiet, steady acts of care and connection. After dinner, they stepped outside once more, sitting on the porch swing beneath the stars. The ranch was quiet, serene, and filled with a gentle sense of completion. Thomas felt a deep sense of gratitude for the life he had, the love he shared, and the person he had become. Emily rested her head on his shoulder and he wrapped an arm around her, holding her close. "You know," she said softly, "I've never met anyone like you, Thomas. You're kind, patient, and strong in ways you don't even realize." "I love that about you." Thomas felt a warmth spread through him. I love you too," he whispered. "More than I ever thought I could." The words came easily, honestly, and he realized that he truly meant them. He had grown, changed, and opened himself fully to love, and it felt natural, beautiful, and complete. The night unfolded with quiet intimacy, gentle affection, and shared laughter. Thomas discovered that he could express love freely, without hesitation, and that Emily's guidance, patience, and confidence had helped him reach a place of true emotional connection. They shared dreams, hopes, and gentle reassurances, strengthening the bond that had begun with shyness and curiosity, but had grown into a deep, enduring love. By the end of the night, Thomas felt a profound sense of fulfillment. He had overcome his insecurities, embraced vulnerability, and learned that love was about trust, patience, and shared growth. Emily had helped him discover the courage within himself, the joy of connection, and the strength that came from being fully present with someone who cared deeply. As they lay together beneath the soft glow of the moon, Thomas realized that this was only the beginning of their journey. Life on the ranch, with its challenges, joys, and quiet beauty, would continue to shape them both. But now, they were ready to face it together, hand in hand, heart to heart. The ranch, bathed in moonlight, seemed to reflect the growth within him. The shy, nervous rancher who had once doubted himself now felt confident, capable, and deeply connected to the woman he loved. Emily's presence had transformed him, not through grand gestures or dramatic events, but through patient guidance, unwavering trust, and a playful, loving spirit that allowed him to flourish. In the quiet moments before sleep, Thomas reflected on the journey they had shared, the nervousness, the laughter, the tender guidance, and the growing trust. He understood that love was not about rushing or forcing perfection. It was about being present, listening, learning, and embracing the shared experience of life with someone who truly cared. As he drifted off to sleep, with Emily resting beside him, Thomas felt a sense of peace and completeness he had never known before. The shy rancher had found his courage, his voice, and his heart through love, patience, and the gentle guidance of the woman he now called his wife. Together they had built a connection that would endure, a bond rooted in trust, laughter, and unwavering affection. The night passed quietly, and the ranch lay bathed in silver moonlight, a silent witness to the growth, transformation, and deepening love that had blossomed within its walls. Thomas knew that challenges would come, as they always did in life, but with Emily by his side, he felt ready to face anything. Their love had become a steady, unshakable force, guiding them forward into the shared journey of life, hand in hand, heart to heart. And as the first light of dawn began to filter over the ranch, Thomas felt a quiet, deep certainty. He was no longer just the shy rancher. He was a man who had learned to love, to trust, and to embrace life fully, with all its joys and challenges. And by his side was the woman who had guided him there, his partner, his confidant, and the love of his life. Together they would face the days ahead, stronger, braver, and more connected than ever before.